Hello guys, thanks for joining me. I thought I'd show you a Hitlerjugend postcard today. It's an item in my stamp collection that I bought some years ago, and it's probably one of my favorite items. It's a simple postcard sent by a Hitlerjugend to his family, and I thought we'd just go over the postcard just now. This postcard is what's called a stationary card, so it has an imprint of a stamp on the top corner instead of a proper stamp, and these came out in late 1943 and 1944, and there were several of these. As you can see, there's a logo in the bottom left corner. That's a propaganda logo, but we'll go over that in a minute. So it has the 6 Pfennig Hitler definitive stamp imprint on the top, and that was for national postcard rate throughout Germany at the time. And as you can see on the top, it says Gefolgschaftführer Karl Bode, so that's his rank, and that is equivalent to a second lieutenant in the army. And basically, Karl Bode would have been a cadre unit leader. And as you can see, he's in Hitlerjugend Einsatzlager 69-2, and that was up in northern Germany, just south of Cuxhaven, or just north of Bremerhaven, and it was in a place called Schönstedt, Postspeicher, and gives his address on the left there, and his home address on the right, which is family Friedrich Bode at Buchholz, which is a place near Hamburg. The number 24 on the postcard address is the district code number, as is the number 23 in the top left corner. So I believe it's pronounced Bode. It could be Bude, but anyhow, it's a young guy. Probably would have been about 16, 17 at that time. And as I said, he marks his rank as Gefolgschaftführer. You can see the abbreviated rank just in front of his name there. And as I say, there's a propaganda message on the bottom there. There were several of these messages on these type of cards for the consumption of the general population. This particular one here says, Der Führer kennt nur Kampf, Arbeit und Sorge. Wir wollen ihm den Teil abnehmen, den wir ihm abnehmen können. And that basically translates as, the Führer knows only strife, work, and worry. Let us relieve him of as much of that burden as we can. So what I'm going to do now is I'll turn the card over, and we'll have a look at the actual message on the back. So you can see the message has been written in pencil. It's a little bit faded, but I think you can just about see it. And there's a cachet in the top right corner that was put on by the postal authorities. Well, I'll come to that in a minute. Anyhow, this could be termed a primary source of information, or historical information. It was written at the time by somebody actually participating in the events as they happened. And I'll just go over the card with you just now. And it says on the top, Sonnabend, Liebe Eltern, ich habe 5 Minuten Zeit, euch zu schreiben. Hier ist alles in Butter, Verpflegung, dickes Fett, Quartier, prima Rübenstahl, viel Stroh, Arbeitszeit 7 Stunden, Dienst 2,5 Stunden. Ich schreibe hier auf einer Futterkiste. Seid knapp, Stimmung so. Grüß, euer Karl. So basically, if you want to translate that into English, it basically says, I have a spare 5 minutes to write you. Everything here is great. Thick fat for provisions. Quarters, first class, turnip shed, lots of straw, work time 7 hours, on duty 2.5 hours. I am writing this on a photo box. Time is short, mood is so-so. Your call. So basically, it doesn't sound like he would have been too enamored in his quarters. Sounds a little bit sarcastic, I suppose, a little bit mood down, I suppose. So he has a few minutes to spare to write to his parents. So everything is great. thick fat for provisions is basically a term for that food is okay, he's getting enough to eat and the like. He obviously hasn't got very good quarters. He is living in an animal shed, a turnip shed, with lots of straw in there. Work time is 7 hours, duty is 2.5 hours. So basically the Hitlerjugend was still, even though they were on active duty, they were still getting educational lessons. So you can either take it that his work time is 7 hours, i.e. his education is 7 hours, and his duty, his service time is 2.5 hours per day, or it could be the other way around. I'm not quite exactly sure in this context. The writing's quite easy for me to read. It's in a more modern cursive script. A lot of the letters written in the Third Reich period, they were written in a so-called Schütteln script, which is very, very difficult to read and almost impossible for me to read. One of the things the NA's party did for education was to basically finish off with that script, and they started a new, more modernized cursive script for the education of the youth during the Third Reich period. And obviously this young man here would have been taught to write the more modern way, so it's a lot easier to read, thankfully. So there's nothing much I can really say about the card. As I say, he was based south of Cuxhaven and north of Bremerhaven. I would imagine he would have been involved in the defense of the Reich. There were quite a lot of anti-aircraft batteries up in that part of the world, because the RAF used the route for their bombing trips over northern Germany. Hamburg was a very regular bombing target at the time, and they would have been involved in either anti-aircraft duties or radar duties, that kind of thing, searchlight duties. But it certainly is the case that he would have been on active duty for the defense of the Reich. I know in the region quite a few RAF bombers had been shot down during the wartime period, and as I said, he would have been involved in that kind of thing. The place is still there. It's a marine base nowadays, so that's a German Navy base, so it would have been a Navy base back in the day as well. So that's quite interesting, and we'll go over the little cache on the top here. So as I said, the mood is a little bit low sounding. He's a little bit, I suppose, perhaps low in morale. And the German authorities read the mail that was going through at the time, just to ascertain the morale of the German people, to see the mood of the German nation. And for that reason, this card was picked up and had the psst cachet on the top. Psst is basically quiet, or it was a campaign that was started in, I think, early 1944, and very similar to the British campaign of the early wartime period of "the enemy can hear you," or keep quiet, don't discuss matters. So it had two purposes. Basically, one, to not discuss important matters that could be overheard by spies and the like, and secondly, a morale and message to not be negative about the war, the regime and things like that, the bombings, the shortage of food and everything else. And obviously they kind of noted that the mood of the letter writer here, the card writer, was a bit low, so they put down the little message on the top there, just as a reminder to let them know that, don't be, putting down everything, basically to try and keep the morale of the population up, which basically is what happened anyhow. I mean, the morale of the German people was basically quite high up until the very late stages of World War II. Anyhow, I thought that was quite an interesting little card here. I'm not going to go over it any further. So as I say, it's part of my Third Reich stamp collection, and I hope you enjoyed that little video. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.